Good morning, and welcome to News and Politics Today with Renee and Calvin Borston Hill. It is Monday, March 21st, first full day of spring, and we are here at Awesome Radio, 106.9 FM WBISLP. And again, we just want to welcome our audience. So happy that you're here joining us and hearing us this morning. And we usually start our Monday show with a brief little quick tidbit on the pandemic because the CDC reports that it's still not gone completely. And I'm still happy to see that there are still people wearing masks because that is one of the few ways that you can protect yourself against the virus. We will say that there is the vaccinations are still available. If you haven't, it's still a good form also of protection. And they find that the pandemic has run rampant in China. And it's also now seen here in the UK, and it has appeared here in America, particularly in New York. And they're finding that most of the cases that are being shown or showing up in New York, they are the new variant. And they say that the new variant, which is Corona, that it's a little harder to detect. So again, your best arm against getting or revisiting with the virus, the COVID virus, is to wear a mask. Continue to wash your hands, and don't think because people are not wearing a mask that you don't have to wear one. Any comments, Calvin, on that?
Well, good morning to everyone out
morning.
there. But what I have, some cases in Pitt County. There's been a total of 52,251 cases in Pitt County. And out of all those cases, there's been 153 deaths. That's a lot of deaths and a lot of families involved, And on March the 18th, which was just last week, there were 11 cases, So we still have cases coming and going right here in Pitt County, North Carolina. So if it's going on right here in Pitt County, I'm sure it's going on in other cities, states, and counties. So we've got to be careful. Again, I always say, and I'm going to repeat what Renee said, wear your mask. Masks are so important, And if you have a headache, or you feel different, then go get tested. It doesn't hurt to get tested, and you get the results, pretty soon. I would say within 24 to 48 hours, you will get your results back. And that is so important because when you get tested, at least you know what is happening with your body. So many times, young folks, they have a headache and they say, well, it's just a headache. But you need to get tested if you have a headache or you have a fever or you start coughing. If anything different happens with your body, then you should go and get tested.
Okay, so we will continue to update you, to monitor you. If you have any questions in regard to, or you have information that you can add to what we're saying about the virus, please feel free to call us at 252-756-2008. Again, good morning to our listening audience. We know that you're out there and you're supporting our show every Monday. And we wanted to say, again, good morning. Now, one of the things that we're going to I want to talk very briefly about is the undercounted communities of color. And what has happened is that they found out that with the 2020 census, we do know that it was being finagled by the leadership in the White House during the 2020 census, where they cut the dates, they started, they stopped. Well, they did report that the 2020 census of the United States, Black people were undercounted by 3.30%. Asian community was undercounted by 2.62%. And the Latino community was undercounted by 4.99%. And these are statistics that, I took off of a TV program that I was watching this weekend, and other is 4.34%. And people might say, oh, well, that's not a bad number. That's not much. But when you look at the whole scheme of it, part of the census is to find out or to look at resources that are allocated to communities. And when they undercount, what happens is that maybe in certain communities, particularly the rural communities, if there was undercount there, then they would say, well, they don't need certain services. It could be schools, it could be hospital, it could be access to health. There's many ways that these numbers have an impact, and also in representation in Congress. If they see that certain communities don't have a lot of people there, well, then they will say they don't really need, or they can use another county to represent them. So what are they going to do about this? I'm not sure, but it's important that we understand that when they do redistricting, they do the gerrymandering, that this is an impact by undercounting certain communities, that they can take away resources that they should necessarily need and be available.
Yeah, and that is so important because the resources, it's just like I can give you an example. New York, for instance, they have garbage pickup maybe 2 or 3 times a week, but now if they show that the count is less, well, then they might have garbage pickup once a week. And what's going to happen? Then you have rodents that start going around, and they're already there. It's just a matter of where they start running around to. So, make sure that you get counted. That's the main thing. Make sure you get counted.
All right. Well, it's too late. The census has already passed. But I did want to go back on the virus, Calvin, because I just want to let our listening audience know that Pfizer and biotech, they're seeking authorization for an additional booster. Moderna is also seeking through the FDA authorization for a second booster. So that is something that the listening audience needs to be available, that because this new variant, and they're also saying, which I didn't repeat, that the new variant is harder to detect. So just protect yourself again, listening audience, protect yourself.
Well, the new variant, the good there's nothing's good about it, but I guess the fact that it's not as serious as the COVID-19 when it first came around. They're saying that it might put you in the hospital, but it won't necessarily kill you. You won't necessarily die from it. So that's an important part right there. But again, we don't want to catch anything. This is why you need to wear your mask and wear it above your nose.
Okay, and then also we do know that with the virus, there's been a long term effect of the virus where people, maybe they not only they might not feel that they have it, but then down the road there'll be long-term symptoms that have been affecting people. And we do know that people who've had the virus later on, and even young people, are developing strokes or cardiac arrest or heart attacks, or have weak hearts left over as a result from the virus. So again, and then just keeping things moving, the House passes the Crown Act and bans discrimination against natural Black hairstylists. So that if, what has been happening is that teachers have been cutting some of their children's hair. They have been forcing people of color to change their way they wear their hair, or trying to dictate. And it has had an effect, Calvin, of people being able to get employment. And they now have passed a Crown Act where people cannot discriminate against you based on how you fix and wear your hair. The other just briefing I want to talk about is Stacey Abrams, her run for governor. We need to make sure, and what she spoke about this weekend is now how 4,000 soldiers have been deployed over to Ukraine or into Europe. and not to Ukraine itself, but there's been a deployment over to those NATO countries or the European countries. And her fix, and this is going to be our fix also, because we have military bases here in North Carolina. When they deploy soldiers over there, they are taking away from the families who are here in this country, and those resources again are going over there to fight the war. And resources are also our men and our women. So again, be conscious of what is going on here in the world and how it can have an effect on you. Now, we do know that in most of these forces, the people who will be put up front on a line to die are Black and people of color and Black and brown people. So, again, we need to make sure that we have our voices heard loud and clear, because we do know that we should care about what's going on in Ukraine, but we also need to think about the voting rights and the democracy here in the US. So we're going over there to fight for freedom and for the democracy. However, what's going on here in this America is that states are passing laws to take away the rights of people to vote, and also the women's rights of their ability to choose their bodies.
Well, that is so important, because when you go to another country and you want to say that, well, that country, you want them to have all the rights that we don't have here in the United States. So that doesn't make too much sense, but that's the way it is here, because a lot of people don't know, though, Renee, the fact that, excuse me, Ukraine has a Black community over there as well. But racism is everywhere. I don't like to talk about it, but sometimes you have to talk about it to let people know racism is all over. And it's just like when the young Blacks was trying to get out of the Ukraine. Well, they were held back because they were saying they wasn't citizens. And then they had to wait and make sure that they could get out. And some of them got out, some of them were still over there. So we got to be careful at where we go and how we are treated in other countries as well. It is so important that when you go to these countries, make sure that it's okay to be there, because some people are laughing in your face and pick your pocket at the same time.
Okay, so just because America is not the oppressor over there in Ukraine, it does not mean it is not the oppressor of Black America. So, yes, we're fighting again for people in Ukraine. They're looking to their refugees. They're going into other places, and they're pretty soon they're going to bring or have allowed Ukrainians to stay when their visas and their time is up in this country. It's already been passed that they can continue to live in America. And then I heard, Calvin, that if people, the refugees, have families here in America, they can bring their families over. And again, we don't have a problem. I don't have a problem with that. But what I do have is that when we know there are countries, okay, that are suffering, particularly in Africa, all right, we're going to talk about South Sudan, where there's a famine going on there, and 70% of the people of that country can actually die because of hunger. And we don't hear much about things that are going on in Africa. We don't hear very much about the abuse of people going on in Africa. We don't hear about it, but we need to seek out about it, because we are constantly, because of our complexion, we constantly lose protection.
Well, Renee, I just got to bring something up, because the government here have already said that the people in Ukraine can come over here if they have relatives here. Well, if you go back a few months ago, you have Haitians that was under the bridge and they had relatives here, but they wouldn't allow them to go to their relatives. So again, it's about the color of your skin and, where do we stand here in this country? This country, it's my country. I fought for this country. However, this country, I say, doesn't love me the way I love it.
No, okay. And again, where is our voice? Okay, we can, okay, through educating ourselves, uniting again. Once you have an ounce of black in your skin and anybody looks at you, they are going to say that you're black. So if there is a black from Haiti, if there's a black from any country from the continent of Africa, they are our brothers, they are our sisters, and we must unite to say, listen, we are not going to continue to allow you to abuse us in this way. Take away our rights here in this America and think that it's okay and that we're not going to stand up and unite. And what I'm saying is that we have many issues to unite against. However, here in North Carolina, where our Congress people are Republicans, it does not stop me from getting on the phone and letting them know what is important to me. Okay. And now, on all I'm saying is that that's what we need to do also. Our number is 252-756-2008. We would love to have you join the conversation if you choose. A lot of people, Calvin, they are listeners. I know I do that, but I never call a talk show. But, I have a passion today about, you know, just misinformation, a lack of information, a lack of concern. But if we unite, we can find a way to get food to the Sudans, the people in South Sudan who maybe, and it's happening in Ukraine, they're sending aid over there and then unable to get the aid to the people because either the Russians are stealing it or either they're breaking up the bridges so that it's unable to get once they lock these people in. And why do we care? Because we still have Africans, we still have Nigerians, we have Black people who are still stuck in Ukraine, unable to leave. And I just want people sometimes to think about it, Calvin, that if when you were in school, in college, how much resources that you were there basically to get an education. So when they were telling people to leave, they didn't have any money to fly back to Europe or to England or to Nigeria or to that's where a lot of the students came from. They were stuck there. And a lot of times they are fighting, and this is something we'll talk about on the other side of the break, is that when Russia went into Africa, when China went into Africa, it was to get the resources out of the country. And the resources that I'm speaking about are the minerals like the oil, the diamonds, you know.
Well, that's the whole thing, Renee. And not only that, but they was teaching them as well. So when you say that, well, why the Africans are not supporting the Ukrainians? Well, look at the history and see. That's what you have to look at. You have to go back and say, well, why are they not helping them? Well, because Russia have helped them, China have helped them. So you're not going to always cut your arm off to spite your face or cut your nose off to spite your face because that's what they're saying. And the Africans, they've been supported by China and Russia, Renee.
Yes, they have. And part of it is that we need to make sure that we clearly understand all the things that are going on, not only here in the United States, not only in Ukraine, but in all of Africa. And why do people make certain decisions about certain things?
Well, just to change the topic a little bit, I know that a lot of people are concerned about Clarence Thomas, but now he's been on the Supreme Court longer than anyone, and he was admitted to the hospital this weekend, and we hope that he's okay. But I always think about his wife. That's one of the things that I think about, Renee, because she does everything against what this country is for. And yet, when he's make a decision on the Supreme Court, how does his wife affect his decision?
Well, well,
That's a question I'm putting out there to our audience.
well, I could tell you how a wife and a husband are about, but we're going to pick that up after because we're getting ready to come up for our
Partial
first break.
funding for this program is brought to you by Blessed Hands Car Wash and Detail Plus, 2016 Chestnut Street, Greenville. Vehicle inspections, U-Haul rentals, spick and span hand vehicle wash and detail. That's Blessed Hands, 252-413-0609. Open Monday through Saturday, 8 o'clock a.m. to 5 o'clock p.m. Blessed Hands Car Wash and Detail Plus, 2016 Chestnut Street, Greenville, 252-413-0609. Thank you, Blessed Hands Car Wash and Detail Plus, for your support.
Hi, I'm Travorce Newton, and I listen to Awesome Radio 106.9 FM, WBIS.
And welcome back to News and Politics Today with Renee and Calvin Borston Hill. We are here at Awesome Radio, 106.9 FM WBIS. And right before the break, Calvin, you and I, we were just having a conversation about Thomas, what's the name?
Clarence Thomas
Clarence,
and Gina Thomas.
Yeah, and Gina, the husband and wife team combo. And Clarence Thomas, we do know, is on the Supreme Court. And we're going to talk about the hearings that are coming up today. But right now, Thomas is in the hospital. He's a judge, a Supreme Court judge, and his wife is very controversial, you know, that she is strictly all about the insurrection. She was very supportive of it. She invested buses to get the people there to the Capitol. And she claimed that she left right before everything happened, but she still participated and has been given, hopefully not a complete pass, but Thomas, who sits there on the Supreme Court, she and most wives can influence husbands to make decisions. Can I influence you any, Calvin?
Of course you can. You know, I'm not gonna sit up here and say you can't, you know, but you're so right there, Renee. And that's the thing, you know, when these individuals have these high positions, and then the wife is totally opposite of what the court should be about, well, we have to look into that and look at his decisions that he make, you know, when there's a case come before him. Because when the case come before him and his wife doesn't like it, well, does he go along with what his wife says or think, or does he go with the law? See, so these are the things that we're talking about, because we want to make sure that you understand that. It's so important when we say, you know, look at the history of individuals and how they vote, because their vote could tell you exactly a lot about them. And that's one of the things that we want you to understand here.
Right. So in picking, you know, we have, well, I do know that when they are about to put a person into a life position, we do know that we have a young lady, okay, who is a judge, as a matter of fact, and has been approved quite a few times, or 2 times at least. 4 times, okay, in these life term positions. Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson, her confirmation hearings will begin today. And again, us uniting, because she is overqualified. And if they could have a sex offender accused of getting on that court, okay, and if they can have a woman put there as a judge who does not necessarily share the views of women, well, then they can definitely put an experienced judge, Katina Brown Jackson. They can definitely put her on the courts.
Well, you know, Renee, I just want to say something. The Senate have confirmed her 4 different times, you know, for a judgeship. So but yet they can't say anything about her profession, but they're trying to pick little things up about her. But she's going to be confirmed because she is so qualified. Actually, she's probably more qualified than a lot of the individuals that's already on the Supreme Court.
Well, she has the experience.
She definitely has the experience and the qualifications. So they can't talk about her education because she went to Harvard, and she a very smart young woman. That's all I can say. She's very smart.
So my request, my listening audience, is that you call your legislator and say, when it comes time for the vote, to vote yes on getting Judge Brown Jackson certified or approved to be in that position. It's not too late, but when we put the pressure on, things happen, and we can put the pressure on our legislators. You can use the 5-caller app. The information will come up and say, I want you to vote yes. We can't trust all of the people, even though President Biden is a Democrat and we have the control of the House and the Senate. There are senators that we can't trust. We can't trust them. And I'm speaking on Manchin and Sinema. We can't trust that they will vote to get Judge Brown Jackson confirmed. And so we have to call our Republican senators and ask them to be fair about this and vote her in unanimously.
Well, I'm pretty sure that she's, like I said before, she's going to get voted in. But it's just a matter of people doing the right thing. If the Republicans and the Democrats do the right thing, she will definitely be voted in. And I can't see any reason why she shouldn't be. If we just do the right thing, like you said, Renee, call your legislators, let them know how you feel, and they will pass it on. It's just so important that we get her up there. But then, I also think that they need to add some justices to the Supreme Court. That's just, again, that's my opinion. But we need to add at least 4 more justices. And this has happened before. It wasn't always the amount that we have now, So we need to add some more to make it right, because we have like 6 people there now, 6 judges there now that is strictly conservative, 100%. And it should be fair. That's all I can say. They say it's not political, but everything that I see, it is political. And it's so important.
Okay. So again, we want to talk about calling on your senators to support and to get aid to Sudan. All right. We do know that the governments have toppled by U.S. supported regime change, so that when U.S. goes in, we have to understand that what Russia is doing is not that we America have not done it in other countries. In 1961, we went in to the Dominican Republic. In 1954, we went into Guatemala. Okay, in 1964, we went into Brazil. In 1973, we went in because we wanted to have a regime change in Chile. In 1953, we went into Iran. In 1960, we went into Congo. And in 1963, we went into South Vietnamese. So what the Russians are doing, okay, is not something that we, America, have not done. Again, my telephone number is 252-756-2008. I don't know the history. I'm just learning the history because I'm now watching, as I'm older, to see the influence that we can have all across this country. And if we would just take a time to understand that our African continent, we need to help and to support them also. And right, just as much as there have been coups that are happening in Ukraine, Africans' recent military coups and conflict. So here in Guinea, there was a coup in 2021. Mali also had a coup in 2021. Burkina Faso in 2022, this year, has a coup. Chad 2021, Sudan 2021, Ethiopia 2016 to the present has a coup going on. Cameroon, civil war from 2016 to present. And the reason why I'm bringing that out is that these African countries with predominantly Black people, unless they're Russians or Chinese that are there stealing the resources, they could use our help. Okay, but the reason why now, and I'm even hearing that maybe 10 to 12 African countries are now thinking about, well, am I supporting Russia? And we would say, oh my goodness, my African brothers and sisters, why should you be supporting Russia? But the reason why they're supporting Russia is because Russia has found a way to supply them with guns, um, provide them with support. There are mercenaries over there from Africa, from Russia, that is going and setting turmoil all over the place. But again, we here in America don't see or don't want to see the value of Black Africa to be able to support them when they're going through their coups, or when there is a up shovel in the country where they want to have a regime change. And we don't know I don't know, maybe you do, who is putting that who's supporting that regime
Partial
change.
funding for this program is brought to you by 33 East Apartments. Still looking for a place to call home next year? Live better at 33 East, your best value in student housing. Only 8 minutes away from East Carolina University, 33 East offers all-inclusive apartment units in close proximity to the center of campus. Our property is designed to the convenience of our residents, as we offer a full set of amenities to fulfill a well-rounded lifestyle for our on-site community. You can find us at 3305 East 10th Street in Greenville, North Carolina, right across from Cookout. 33 East Apartments. Live larger, live closer, live better. Thank you, 33 East, for your support.
I'm Miriam Neff with Wise Women Managing Money.
And I'm Valerie Neff Hogan.
Do you lack financial confidence? Many do, and it's unnecessary. Scripture establishes wise foundational guidelines. The first step to confidence is competence. Know what you have.
How much is coming in every month and how much is going out? Every person should know that, whether single or married. And if married, both partners. Is what you're doing sustainable? To answer this question, you need to know how much debt you are carrying. What is that number on each credit card every month that you're carrying?
You've started. You know it. Now adjust spending to match spending less than you're earning. Small steps in a good direction matter. Patience and discipline pay off. Competence is to know and address the facts. Confidence will follow. This feature at wisewomenmanagingmoney.com.
Hi, this is Dr. Armistead from Physicians East Dermatology. You are listening to Awesome Radio 106.9.
All right. Ooh, yeah. Wow. Oh, yeah. Here we go, y'all. Sing a little message out to those of y'all who feel like you're struggling.
And welcome back to News and Politics Today with Renee and Calvin Borston Hill. We are here at News and Politics Today, and we're at Awesome Radio 106.9 FM WBISLP. And again, we just say if you want to join the conversation, because we don't know it all, Calvin. We're here at 252-756-2008. And we are getting some comments coming through. And we just want to, again, thank you for taking the time to just respond and to let us know that some of the things that we're talking about are just as important to you as it is to Calvin and myself.
Well, Renee, I see that we have listeners from all over the country listening. So that's a great thing.
Oh, yeah. I have Virginia in there, our good friend Donna Davis, Giwa Osage. We have our cousin Angie McKenzie Morris, and she lives in Chicago. And we also have our cousin Dee, who lives up in New York. And we also have Dr. Marion Barnes, who's right here in Greenville, North Carolina, a supporter and a constant listener.
So it's good to know that you guys are still out there every Monday at 10 a.m.
Oh, and I better not mention my cousin Adelie Donaldson. Oh, I don't mean to say your last name, but it's up there, Adelie, who is from lives in Pennsylvania now, but works in New Jersey, that border. So
Yes.
again, thank you. And I just want to know, do you think what we're speaking about, how we should be calling our legislators to let them and to say to them, number one, we want to make sure that um, Judge Brown Jackson gets confirmed. And we can't take it for granted, Calvin, that we're going to say she will get confirmed. But sometimes we have to do some homework and to make sure that we let our voices be heard, that we know she's qualified and should be doing it. The other hot topic that we didn't talk about is Miss Brittany Grinders. And she's in prison in Russia, and we're thinking that she is being held there politically as a ploy, um, because she's saying that there was some drugs that were found on her, and so she has been had a mini trial. We're not able to see her or to get access to her, but we do know that she's going to be held again until she goes to court up in May.
Well, I just want to say something on that because she's a basketball player and she's a professional basketball player. And the women league, I have to say, should be getting paid more than what they are getting paid. If that was the case, then the women that play basketball here in the United States would not have to go overseas to play basketball, because when they go over there, they make a lot more money than they make right here. The average basketball player, female, gets approximately about $130,000 a season. That's nothing compared to the men, and then they're on TV. So why can't the women, get paid better than what they are? It's like the women's soccer. They had to fight to get a good money, like the men, even though they were winning and the men wasn't. So again, that's what we have to do. We have to look at the whole picture and say that, well, if the women are doing it, then they should be getting paid, equal pay.
Right. And again, there are so many clauses, Calvin, that we can, or stances that we can take. And by just bringing things to the conversation or just talking about it, a lot of people don't think about, well, I'm not a woman basketball player, so why should I care? But we should care about having fairness in pay. And that's something that they've been doing not only in the game of basketball, but in the game of work. When you go to your job and you're doing the same job as the man next to you and you're getting less pay, how fair is that? And what do we say about it? Do we just step over it? Do we just let it keep on happening? And there's so many things that are happening in the world today that we don't voice our opinion about. And then the ones, what is it? The squeaky wheel gets the oil.
That's it.
Okay, so that we need to start squeaking, and we need to start saying, listen, I'm looking for a better America, not only for myself, but for my children. And we need to say and let people know we want Miss Brittany Grinders, we want her out of prison. And she's not the only political prisoner over there right now in Russia. However, they got her because she has name recognition and she's known by a lot of people. So we need to keep the spotlight on her. We don't need to let us just sit there and rot in a Russian prison. And then I think she also wanted to get home arrest, but they refused to let her out of the prison. So we need to be very mindful of that.
Well, that is so true. We just got to make sure that we, like I said before, pay the basketball players, the athletes, what they deserve, and then they would not have to go to other countries to play basketball. And then it's a toll on the body too, Renee, because if they're playing all year, then they come back to the United States. Will they be able to still play and not get injured? That is so important.
Okay. So again, we just want to just touch on these little topics that we know are going to make a difference. Calvin, we do know that we're waiting for the president, and I guess within the next couple of days, he's out of the town right now. The lynching law has passed. I do know that we speak constantly about these bills that have not gone anywhere. And the George Floyd bill, and again, these are the bills and the things that if we speak loud enough, you unify around them, we can make a difference in our legislators and the do nothing legislators who don't vote for anything legislators or vote against things that can make a difference in our community. So we still want the George Floyd bill to be put out there because it's packed with so many things that can make a difference in our lives of Black people here in America. We also need to have the John Lewis bill passed. Okay, that bill would help to support us when it comes time during elections, so that those states that are passing those bills to suppress our vote, the federal bill, which is the John Lewis bill, can override that. The other one is the HR1 bill. What happened to those bills? Because that bill would stop all the dark money and a lot of other things that are happening to funnel and to fund these candidates that are not in the best effort for the democracy of this America. And we want to also think about the bill that has gone completely, I don't know where, but they separated it from that infrastructure bill. It's the Build Back Better. I'm always speaking about poverty in this America. When will someone say, listen, that money that you have not funded at all for 2022 helped so many families reach out of poverty? Either they use that Build Back money or the child care credit to either help fund their food, their rent, their utilities, their children's daycare. It was used for so many things, and then they just had it disappear. And what we have to also be aware, our listening audience, is that we have a lot of services that were provided by the pandemic funding. And a lot of that funding, which one of the biggest thing was to get rid of child hunger. And they also put a lot of money into the school systems to make sure that children got fed. They got lunch, they maybe got food to go home with, breakfast. And a lot of that, those funds are going to disappear. And that's now going to further plummet certain families, like low income, middle income families, further into poverty. We're already suffering with the gas prices, and we're also suffering not only with inflation. Calvin, you and I, we go to the store constantly. We just buy a little bit of this, a little bit of that. I don't know if we do it as an outing or we buy as we need, because again, the famine and the people who are so hungry, and how much food, when we buy too much, do we end up throwing away? So it's not that I don't know who to give this food to, but I just think that we need to take to be more. We need to make sure that our legislators understand that we, the listening audience, know how important it is that we keep funding certain programs, because it will make a difference. Particularly, they were giving, I guess, it's assisting with health care. We here in North Carolina never expanded Medicaid, and no one is talking about that. So we're talking about it, Calvin.
Yes. But, Medicaid expansion is so important, because not only will it help hundreds and hundreds of individuals here in North Carolina, but it will also give jobs. And that's why people don't realize the jobs that it will be giving. And we need to get rid of that $7.25 minimum wage, Renee. I'm always thinking about that and talking about it. We need to call our legislators, and let them know we need to get rid of that, because there's not too much you can do with $7.25 for a family of four. And now they're increasing the interest rates. So that means you're going to be getting less money. You can't, some people will never be able to buy a home because they're working on minimum wage. And it should be everyone's goal is to eventually buy their own home, live in their own home. But we can't do it on 725. And if you work a night shift, it's 750. That is absolutely unjust in this country for someone to be making that kind of money.
Yes. Okay. So again, something that you can speak to your legislator about. We need to make sure that we have a living wage, not a minimum wage. And again, your voice, our voice together, we can make changes, we can have changes. But if you don't say anything or you don't contact your legislator to just talk and say, this is how I'm feeling about certain things, then nothing will change on Calvin. Things will always remain the same. We are fighting for the same things that our great grandparents fought for. They fought for the right to vote, and now the right to vote here in 2022 is being taken away.
Well, the right to vote should be everyone, but like you said, we need to vote. We never tell you who to vote for at Awesome Radio or at News and Politics, Renee Boston Hill, but we always tell you to vote because the voting is just so important for everyone to get out and vote. And if you're 16, 17 years old, you can register, you just can't vote until you're 18. And we need to get ready because we have elections coming up right here, municipal elections coming up. We need to know who we're going to be voting for. So many times we vote for name recognition, but name recognition don't always get it. So what have they done? A lot of times people, they're absent during a vote. So why are they absent? Is it because they don't want to vote? We need to look at all of that. And then when they do vote, how are they voting? This is what we're talking about, Renee.
Yep. Okay. And then also, there are going to be primaries all across this country. Pay attention to who is seeking your vote. Again, what is their platform? If they are an incumbent is a person who is currently in a position and seeking reelection. So the incumbent comes and says, listen, I want your vote again. What have they done for you lately? It's not, we know that they are not your personal candidate. We know that they're not there for you personally. However, when you see that people are favoring a certain segment, okay, that if you see that a candidate, all right, we have someone calling. Yes, good morning. News and Politics Today with Renee and Calvin. I see that we have a caller. You have a comment?
Yes, I do. I just wanted to say thank you for what you do, bringing things to light that need to be brought to light. And the other thing I just want to mention, the media keeps playing up the inflation, which I understand exists, but we got to also look at the corporate greed. A lot of this is not so much inflation as it is corporations are taking advantage and making money, including the utilities. So I just want to kind of throw that out there.
Well, I appreciate your comment, and I will respond to that on the other side.
Well, that's a great comment you just made there because the electric bill in Pitt County, the utility bill have gone up tremendously.
Okay, we have another call coming in. Okay, I'm sorry. Well, you had more to say. You can continue. Hello. Okay. All righty. And that's a fact that corporations, particularly even with the fuel, they have made hand over fist money and at the pumps. And meanwhile, we're still filling up our cars. It's costing us over $70, close to $100, just a week. Every week we're there at the pump because once you put your foot on that pedal, your gas is going down.
Well, I just want to add up something to that. It's so important that we put this out there because people blaming President Biden for the price of fuel going up. He have no control over that, but yet they blame him. But now when the price go down, they don't blame him for the prices going down. They don't give him the credit for that. So you either have it or you don't have it. You know, he like I said, he do not control the price of fuel in this country or gas in this country.
Okay. And again, we have to look at where these corporations, their profit line and how they are not even passing. Like we do know that retail stores, they are making big money. They give big bonuses to the people. However, very little goes down to the actual workers who are exposing themselves uh, hand in, like face to face with
Customers.
with the customers. So we need to make sure that we understand, and then again, your voice to your legislator who is there working for you, your voice to your municipals who get to say how much money comes into your particular county, how the money will be spent. You have got to participate because your mayor, your city council people, your commissioners are the ones that you need to focus on also, and make sure you participate 200% in this election. And also, we never always want to talk about how if you know someone who has not been vaccinated, because they are part of that misinformation that they're believing that, well, if I get vaccinated, I'll have metal will start attaching itself to me. They need to get rid of that misinformation. But you, as a person who knows them, you can still talk to them and convince them to go and get vaccinated. And if you know somebody who has always said, oh, my vote doesn't count, I don't feel like participating, I don't like any of those people, you can take that person and help them to get registered and speak to them why it's important that they vote. Because a lot of times people are getting into the different offices who have no shared interest of yours. And that's why your voice needs to be heard. And even think about running for a position. Why shouldn't you run?
Well, Renee, one thing I have to say that what you talked about is the vaccination. Over the week, part of last week, I had a talk to an individual because he didn't want to get vaccinated. And I talked to him until he finally said he would get vaccinated. And that is so important because if you know someone, you care for the individual, then you have to talk to them and convince them why they should get vaccinated. That is the important thing right there. We need to make sure that we talk to individuals because their mind can get changed, but we need to talk to them to change their mind and show them the benefit of getting vaccinated. That is just so important that we all get vaccinated.
All righty. So, Calvin, any special things that you want to talk about for the last? Because what I want to do is I want to go over and summarize where maybe somebody will have a passion for one of the topics that we're talking about and actually use the 5-caller app to call and to notify their legislator that we want them to act on. I do know that once the show is over, I'm going to be calling our legislators to let them know that I want them to vote for Judge Brown Jackson to be going to the Supreme Court. I do know that I want my legislators to fight for Brittany Griner's freedom to get her out of the Russian prisons. Okay, I do know that
partial funding for this program is brought to you by CT Cleaning Service, 919-345-5823. Nationally certified and bonded for COVID cleaning, commercial and residential, and for all general cleaning. CT Cleaning Service, 919-345-5823. Have a peace of mind that your place of worship, your office building, your home, and your place of work have been nationally certified COVID cleaned, disinfected, and sanitized. 919-345-5823. Thank you, CT Cleaning, for your support.
Greetings in the name of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. This is yours truly, Pastor Nell Smith Ward, and I am excited, and I would love to invite you to my album release party. That's right, Saturday, April 30th. What time? 3 p.m. Location, State Street Community Church, downtown Raleigh. The address is 1200 South State Street, downtown Raleigh. This is a ticketed event. For more information, 919-924-1945. Along with me, our special guest will be Elder Jarrell Smalls. You don't want to miss this grand occasion. This is Pastor Nell Smith Ward inviting you to my album release party. God bless.
Jesus came by and he touched me and he washed my sins away. I started running, I started shouting, couldn't find no time for doubting. You know that I got nothing but the hope, yeah. Ooh. My back is against the wall, more bills and money to pay, but I know just who to call on when I need relief. I pray to help me fight the pressures of the pressure.
Hi, this is Sharice Boyd Jackson. Thank you for your support in listening to Awesome Radio, WBISLP 106.9 FM.
News is information. Information is knowledge. Knowledge is power.